Hello, my name is Pierre Jimenez, and I'm going to talk about my part of the Vertical Integration Project, which we shorthanded to VIP. I'm going to first talk about my user story, the requirement analysis and design, show you my code, and finally I will do a post-release discussion on my feature. My group, Group 4, focused on the announcements section, and my specific part dealt with events. My user story was, as a student, I would like to see a list of the upcoming events so that I can plan my deadlines accordingly. The user story is complete once the student can view the events. These events will appear in chronological order. Another criteria of acceptance is that the user can click a delete button. This is done if the event becomes stale or the user makes a mistake while creating the event. I figured that it would take 16 points to get the implementation working, but due to my unfamiliarity with the mean stack, it took much longer. Moving on to the analysis, we can see a use diagram for the Group 4 subsystem. A principal investigator, student, or faculty member can view the events that were created. Keeping that in mind, we look towards the sequence diagram for the user story. Using the model view controller paradigm to program the user story, we see that the user initiates with a click to the events page. The events.html page will then call the all function in my event routes, which basically asks the controller to grab all the events. The event routes will call the get function on my event model. All the events are returned to the event routes, and it is then piped to the events.html page. And now they are ready to be viewed. If the user clicks the delete button, the event routes will pass the call to the model to delete a specific event. All events have a unique ID. The model then proceeds to send up to the HTML the updated events. Now the user has functionality for viewing and deleting events. Looking more into the detail of the Group 4 class diagram, we can see that there is some dependency between the create event user story, which my teammate Joseph Casal owned, and my upcoming events user story. Starting at the model, we can see that the date is saved. This is required since we want to show the events in chronological order, and the date class in the main stack allows us to do just that. Here we can see that there is a place to save all pertinent information that shows up when the events are presented to the user. Here are the all and delete techniques which were discussed in the sequence diagram. The event service is shared between my user story and the create event user story. At this point, the implementation diverges and the event service connects to the event controller. The event controller grabs all the events and can delete as well. The UI router is the bridge between the controller and the view. The events.html page uses the ng-repeat command to display all the events that were grabbed from the controller, and the ng-click command is used to initiate the delete event. Now let's look at the code and how these classes were implemented. First, we see the model which comes from the M in MeanStack, the Mongo database. Here I have defined the schema which holds all the variables which were defined before in the class diagram. The event service shows the two functions I implemented, the all and the delete function, which can be seen on the event routes page at the bottom. The get function simply grabs the events and returns them. The delete function requires the event ID, which has been passed down from the HTML page. The remove event then simply removes that event from the database. The event CTRL has a getAll function, and we can see that the data that comes up is saved as events. The delete function is also passed through, and we can see that it also calls the all function, which grabs the events, which is the event list without the deleted event. Finally, in the HTML page, we can see that all the events will be shown using the ng-repeat command, which comes from the A part of our mean stack, Apache. As each event is being displayed, we see that it can also create a button that can be clicked called delete that passes on the specific event ID. My user story was a very straightforward one, but with a lot of room for upgrading and improvement. It would be good to have a visual monthly calendar that highlights the dates on which the events are occurring. Another improvement could be that the stale events are erased automatically from the database, although that may cause issues with documentation of events if they need to be referenced in the future. Thank you for listening, and I hope you understood how the user story went from an idea to a working implementation.